Hello and welcome to my inaugural discussion on here with you, and I'm going to call it 13 Thoughts. That's in keeping with our new site. I'm going to use that as the naming convention, I believe. That may change in the future, but for now, 13 Thoughts is what you got today. So for those of you who are not familiar with me yet, or we yet, I am Brad, and my wife and Blair and I, we live in an Airstream. It's made of aluminum, and 13 is the atomic number of aluminum. Therefore, I have 13 thoughts, just like our website, 13 Adventures. Now, my random brain is constantly thinking, and I have used a number of forums to dispel my wisdom, if you will, and I've called it many things. I use the term brain droppings in some of my writings, and I took that from a book by a guy named George Carlin, awesome comedian. I've used 5 Minute Friday, where I dispelled some excellent wisdom in under 5 minutes each Friday. And you can find a link to all those things below. So I hope to continue this tradition of 5 minutes each week of something that's on my mind. And now the topics will vary from leadership and mentorship to family and life and the world we live in and current events and book reviews and pretty much anything, any topic I really enjoy. So if you have anything specific that you'd like to know about or know my thoughts on, feel free to reach out to me via email at info@13adventures.com, and I'll do my best to address it. Now, on to today's topic. Some time ago, I was recommended a book by a guy named Trevor called It Takes What It Takes. I read this thing in a weekend. He is a mental coach to elite performers, particularly sports performers, and he's worked with an impressive list of folks. The subtitle of this particular book is called, quote, How to Think Neutrally and Gain Control of Your Life. Now, I love this way of thinking, and if you're a fan of mental toughness, you will definitely enjoy this book as much as I did. One of my favorite aspects of this book was his ideas on neutral thinking, and I've done written posts on that before, but that's not really what I want to talk about today. So I assume that if you've done leadership training or management training in any sort, that you have heard of this progressive state of growth that goes from unconsciously incompetent to consciously incompetent to consciously competent to unconsciously competent. And basically, most people, most of the experts say that we want to go from being unconsciously incompetent, where you don't know what you don't know and therefore you cannot address it, to being consciously incompetent, where you know what you don't know and you can get to work on it. Then to consciously competent, where you know what you know but you need to think about it to do it. To being unconsciously competent, where you just do what you do without thinking. Sort of like walking or standing up or moving my finger. It just kind of happens. I don't really have to think about it. So according to the experts, the highest level of development is being unconsciously competent. Now, that all makes sense to me, but back to the book. Trevor looks at this a bit differently, and this is what stuck out to me. In his work with some of the world's most elite, mentally tough folks, he has realized that many people who are at their peak performance do not know how they perform at such a high level. He goes on to say that that is not a good thing if they plan to sustain that level of performance. Trevor tells us that he would like to shuffle the order around a bit. He says we should go from unconsciously incompetent to consciously incompetent to unconsciously competent to consciously competent. He says that we, leaders, we must know what works for us and then do that thing over and over and over and over again. Now, to me, that is how the greatest become the greatest. To win, to be the greatest, to reach that elite level, we must all follow our own protocols ruthlessly when we figure them out. If you can think back to a time when you were just on, what caused it? What were you doing? Can you repeat it? If so, you need to patent those steps and be ruthless in your efforts to follow them. Ruthless. Be consciously competent. That's all for today, folks. Once again, I'm Brad, Semper Fidelis.